founder of the Global Alliance for Disability in Media and Entertainment. Patricia?
Thank you, Chair. It is an honor to be here at the Social Forum and to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Convention and the many important disability rights achievements of the past decade. However, some barriers have continued despite important progress in many areas, and it must be acknowledged that mainstream cultural and historical perspectives continue to play a significant role in driving negative assumptions about persons with disabilities and in creating or contributing to many of the barriers that result in social injustice that diminish the human rights of persons with disabilities, as expressed in the many articles of the Convention. We all know that persons with disabilities are invisible in the media. For instance, last year, less than 1% of characters on TV were persons with disabilities. Moreover, only 5% of those characters with disabilities were played by disabled actors. This is how grave the lack of representation is. This is the result of an ableist society. Ableism is considering persons with disabilities less, second-class citizens, not worthy. Ableist perspectives of disability can be reflected in media in many ways. For example, when disabled people are cast as objects of pity, burdens on their families and on society. When disability is framed as human defect to be cured or overcome rather than the manifestation of human diversity that should be accommodated by a society that welcomes all. It's also applauding people with disabilities for being so brave or superheroes. These are all damaging images of persons with disabilities that build up stigma and contribute to keep persons with disabilities apart from the rest of society. We must change these stereotypes if we want to change attitudes towards persons with disabilities. The Social Forum raised important elements in connection to the media. We have heard the important call by Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, Catalina de Vandas, for disability to be understood by mainstream society within the framework of human diversity, not human defect. Many other speakers and commentators at the Social Forum have also done the same thing. The Social Forum raised many important elements in connection to the impact of cultural perspective on human rights. To achieve this shift is in how mainstream society understands disability. We must ensure that our efforts and activities are directed at reshaping mainstream perspectives of disability and stimulating a culture of acceptance, non-discrimination and inclusion of people with disabilities. While it's true that culture change doesn't usually happen overnight, we live in an age where media is a significant driver in shaping how we perceive the world around us and how we act it. In this way, the media can also be a tool for social change in reshaping attitudes and outcomes for persons with disabilities. For example, we just saw wonderful and positive images in the press about Paralympic Games Rio 2016, which had high-level attendance. This had a direct impact on the attitudes of people in the streets. British Channel 4 hired staff with disability to cover the games. 10 years ago, a character of a girl with Down syndrome was introduced in a popular soap opera in Brazil under the advice of activists of the disability movement. This soap opera, Pages of Life, was a watershed in the transition from special to inclusive education system in Brazil. It was sold to 90 countries, giving further impetus to an awareness wave. Article 8 of the Convention recognized the importance of the role of the media and the obligation of state parties to ensure all organs of the media to portray persons with disabilities in a manner consistent with the purpose of the present Convention. The relative brevity of Article 8 does not mean that its implications for the realization of human rights is any less significant, for example, than the right to inclusive education, which was recently amplified by the Committee of the Convention. I believe that only with a deliberate and sustained engagement of the media in relation to persons with disabilities and its role in entrenching or challenging discrimination, can the social inclusion of persons with disabilities and the realization of their human rights occur in a timely manner? I would hope that one of the outcomes of this social forum will be to communicate to state parties the expectations that they need to take more concrete actions in relation to compliance with Article 8. In particular, state parties must be required to take action to ensure the production of media content that promotes respect the rights and capabilities, skills, merit and contributions of people with disabilities, and challenge myths, negative stereotypes and prejudice about people with disabilities, and provide opportunities for individual agency and empowerment through the direct participation of people with disabilities in the media, including by supporting initiatives for employment of persons with disabilities in the media. By engaging the media in relation to persons with disabilities more generally, we will also educate media workers to become allies and help expose rights violations and to eradicate pervasive stereotyping by employing proper language and portraying persons with disabilities as right holders. Furthermore, it's important that journalists are in contact with sources who are persons with disabilities and adopt a human rights approach to the stories. It is also important that media become more aware of the importance of all information being presented in accessible platforms to reach a wider audience, inclusive of persons with disabilities. Media-related regulations and initiatives should devote to ensure accessibility. Another area that can also provide a platform for cultural change is inclusion of persons with disabilities in mainstream advertisement and other media products. Generally, producers are not against the idea. They just never thought about it. It is our job to make them think about it. We can assure that hiring actors with disabilities is good for business. New York Fashion Week had excellent reviews when they started showing models who use wheelchairs in 2014. A reality show with people with Down syndrome just earned an Emmy Award. A TV series with a young man with cerebral palsy was well received by critics. These are just some of many examples. And in developing countries, the private and public media can be a cost-effective way of promoting inclusion. Governments, companies, and the media outlets should start casting persons with disabilities in their productions because images help change old preconceptions and contribute to build an inclusive culture much faster. For all these purposes, the creation of a disability compact on media that includes private and public media and persons with disabilities, both as communicators and target audience, would be a great contribution for the rights of persons with disabilities. In summary, the realization of human rights of persons with disabilities depends on ensuring that cultural changes occur at the broadest level for the impact to be seen at the level of individuals and their lives. We can choose now to call state parties to action on the basis of Article 8 to support the social change that is the inspiration of this convention, or we can do nothing and allow the media to continue as a passive but damaging agent of friction to the social change, to the detriment of many more generations of people with disabilities. Thank you.